it helps to have the perspective of a different person. Sometimes I can be looking at things and I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing what other people see. From my perspective, it looks good, but from somebody else's perspective, it doesn't look so good. We bought an old house in Dryden that needed a lot of remodeling, and I was kind of remodeling it one room at a time. It had a lot of problems, uh, and I'm not a carpenter, so it wasn't. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was remodeling, and it certainly looked better than it when I was done than it did when I started. But I was doing the living room, and when I took the paneling off the wall between the living room and the bedroom, there were two or three old doorways in that wall. I don't know why. It was only like a 12-foot wall, but there were there were a couple of old doorways in there that had never been reframed. They were just covered over with paneling. Well, I realized, that's not good. Like I'm gonna have to take that whole wall down and rebuild it. So I took the wall down. I built a new wall, and I had seen some real carpenters building a wall, and I saw what they did. Like they took the top uh, stringer of the wall and the bottom one, and they marked off where the studs should be, and then they put the studs in, and then they nailed it in from the bottom and from the top, and then they stood the wall up in place. So, all right, I can do that. So I measured everything. I got the wall built, and I stood it up, and I had turned off the power to that room because had to take off all the outlets, all the electrical boxes, and they were just laying on the floor. And I wanted to get everything put back up so we'd have receptacles before I went to bed. So it was getting later at night, and I was still working on this wall, and it was perfect. Boy, I got it up. It just slid into place. It was amazing. Uh, I thought, and so I'm nailing it into place, and I'm feeling really good about this. I'm almost done. I'm going to be able to put the electrical boxes back on, and everything's going to be great. Well, Edith walked into the living room, and she's standing on the other side of the living room. And so she's looking at it, and she's saying, Merle, it's crooked. I'm saying, no, it's not crooked. Like, look, it fits in the corner. It's perfect. It's square. It fits right in the corner. It's great. She said, oh, here, it's crooked. It's not straight. I said, it is straight. Well, she said, if you would look at it from here, you would see it's not straight. So, okay, so I got up, I went back, looked at it from the other side of the living room, and it was not straight. And when I figured out what I had done, I had made a mark where the stud was supposed to be, but about the first 5 or 6 studs on the bottom side, I had put the stud on the wrong side of the mark. So they were an inch and a half on an angle. Well, now I looked at it. I had the wall nailed in place. I had the studs nailed in from the bottom, and I had the bottom nailed into the floor. Like, what was I supposed to do? And here it was past bedtime, and I just wanted to be done with this project. I didn't know what to do. So I went down in the basement. I got the splitting maul, sledgehammer. I brought it up there, and I whopped those studs over to where they were supposed to be and nailed them in at an angle from the side. So I said someday somebody's going to remodel this. They're going to tear that wall apart, and they're going to say, "What in the world did somebody do here?" And they'll never understand it. But when I was looking at it from close up, it looked great. But from across the room, it was crooked. A different perspective sometimes shows us things that aren't the way they ought to be, but we can't see it because we're too close to the problem. We're too close to the situation.